Person on ATO issues from the presidential administration. You're welcome, Colonel. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. So the situation in the ATO zone on the territory of Donetsk and Lugansk regions is still tense, but is controlled. The armed provocations of the enemy do not stop along the whole line of confrontation. Yesterday there were 3 effects of shellings at our positions registered from the barrel artillery, and also 3 cases of use of tanks by the enemy. Near Bakhmutsky highway, near settlement Zolota and Krymsky, there were 2 clashes of our servicemen with the enemy. The attack of the enemy was repelled without losses. Now the places of the biggest tension now in Mariupolsky direction, Shirokin and Donetsk direction near airport, and the outskirts of Gorlivka in the Lugansk direction. The village is located close to Bakhmutska highway and near Stanitsa Luganska. At the same time, the enemy has activated the air reconnaissance. During 24 hours, 19 drones were registered along the whole line of confrontation. 2 more drones were flying at the administrative border between Ukraine and the temporarily occupied territory of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, there are no Ukrainian servicemen killed and 2 were wounded. Ukraine is executing Minsk agreements. The special monitoring mission of OSCE in Ukraine, in its latest report, confirmed that the armed forces of Ukraine withdrew all the heavy weaponry to the distance according to the Minsk agreements. At the same time, the militants are putting obstacles to the work of international mission. The President of Parliamentary Assembly of OSCE, Ilka Kanerva, request to stop pressure and scaring the observers of the OSCE mission in the east of Ukraine, which regularly take place from the side of militants. According to him, the threats and shellings cannot be continue, and OSCE supports sending peacekeeping forces to Donbass. The idea of inviting peacekeeping forces to regulate the conflict also was supported by the President of Poland, Komorowski. During the visit to Ukraine, the head of Polish state stated that Russia systematically violates Minsk agreements and human rights in the occupied Crimea. The President Komorowski stressed that Ukraine and Poland have the single position as to necessity to continue sanctions because of the Russian aggression in the east of Ukraine. International organizations condemn the military crimes committed by pro-Russian militants. The organization Amnesty International calls shocking the new evidence of the killings of Ukrainian servicemen. According to the information, the militants are using torches and kill the prisoners, which falls under the definition of military crime. And the Ukrainian mass media published another confirmation of these crimes. One of the leaders of the militants, nicknamed Motorola, openly said that he killed 15 Ukrainian military prisoners. Ukraine puts all the efforts to liberate our military from the imprisonment. The Ukrainian army conducts training and strengthens its forces in Lvivsk region in 184th Training Center of the Academy of Land Forces. The course of training for mobilized servicemen is completed. The servicemen have been doing shellings from firearms, grenade launchers, artillery, and military vehicles. They completed the training program according to different military specialties. The wounded servicemen who were wounded during the military operations during the ATO before the Easter received the status of participants of military actions. The representatives of the National Guard of Ukraine visited the wounded servicemen who are being treated in 5 hospitals of Kiev. Acting Commander of the National Guards of Ukraine, General Lieutenant Balan, thanks the military for their loyalty to Ukrainian people and awarded them with the signs for courageous service. The commandership especially awarded the soldier Mykola Svitelsky in February this year. The group, part of which was Mykola, break through the defense of Russian terrorist groups during the fighting with illegal armed groups. These illegal armed groups received losses. During this operation, Mykola was wounded, but he continued to conduct operation. For this courageous act, he was awarded the Medal for Military Service to Ukraine. One more armored vehicle was given to Ukrainian army. The demonstration of Bars 8 vehicle was tested in the test field of the National Guards near Novi Petrivci. In 2015, 90 armored vehicles Bars were ordered for the National Guard of Ukraine. Ukrainian special services detained pro-Russian subversive activists. The Security Service of Ukraine detained 10 persons who were preparing provocations and subversive acts in Odessa on the 10th of April. They acted under the cover of NGO, which was using the tragedy of the 2nd of May 2014 to instigate the citizens to provocative actions. Russian special services were supporting financially these events. The group was headed by the former Security Service employee Berkut, nicknamed Kubinets, some self-made explosives, 5 liters of chemicals, pistols, firearms, armored vests, pro-Russian flags were confiscated from him. The diversion group received instructions via Russian Coordination Center, headed by the citizen of Ukraine nicknamed Gurza, who is involved in organizing some acts of terror.
According to the Security Service information, the money to similar non-existent public organizations are being provided by the former Prime Minister of Ukraine, Mykola Azarov, and former MPs Oleksandr and Volodymyr Oleksandr, who at the moment are hiding from the Ukrainian justice in Moscow. In the town of Krasnogorivka, Donetsk region, the fighters of Battalion Kiev-1, together with the armed forces of Ukraine, have detained 2 local residents suspected of separatism. During search, the arms and ordnance was confiscated from them. One of them had a Russian military uniform at home, and not far from Kurachovo, a reconnaissance group of Kiev-1 has found a cache with ammunition. This was masked, disguised in the forest, and it contained food, arms, and ordnance, also munitions, and some photographs of the places of location of the bases of the armed forces of Ukraine and military vehicles. At Prosyane border crossing point in Luhansk region, the Ukrainian border guards have detained a person who was involved in the activity of illegal armed formation and who wanted to go to Russia on a bus. In the outskirts of Rubizhne, Donetsk region, a cache with firearms and ordnance was found. 2 grenade launchers and battle grenades, combat grenades, and trinitrotoluol explosives were confiscated. Next to the control point Lysychansky, our law enforcers have found a explosive device. This was a cassette ordnance from the self-propelled Smerch battery launcher, and it was diffused. Protest mood is spreading over the occupied Donbas territory. On the territory that is being controlled by the bandit formations DNR, the occupation administration has increased the duration of a working shift for miners from 6 to 8 hours. Almost 50 miners from the Kirov mine in Makiyivka have gathered next to the administration building of the mine, demanding to go back to the former duration of work under the ground. Yesterday, 6 investigators from Vinnytsia went on their tour of duty to the anti-terrorist operation forces. They all are volunteers, and if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Any questions? No questions. Thank you very much. Our next briefing